We grind in the trenches, yeah, we put in the work. From the 50-yard line to the stain on the shirt. It ain't just a game, it's the lessons we teach. Practicing what we play and what we preach. It's the X's and O's and watching them grow. The playbook for life that you need to know. Where the gridiron grit meets the family time. We lace them up tight and lead from the line. Where fatherhood meets football. I got you. You got me. We got it. Here is your host, Coach Mac. Got you. You got me. We got us. Here is your host, Coach Mac. Coach Mac. Coach Mac. Here is your host, Coach Mac. Coach Mac.
Yo. Welcome back to Lead from the Line. So I'm Coach Mac, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Like, we throw the word culture around a lot when we're talking about sports. Like, hey, I love the culture of that team right there. I love what they're doing, man. They're building a fantastic culture. That's the type of culture I want. And so, you hear it all the time. We're building a winning culture. For those teams that have been successful, it's like, hey, they're on to something. What is the culture like of that team? What is it like in the locker room for that team? Or you hear, hey, we've got a soft culture. We are a newer team. We're trying to get where we need to be, but right now we're just not physical enough. We're soft. How do we develop and change the culture of this team? Or, hey, you've seen this situation where, you may get a new coach or you may get new players and things just haven't worked right in the past. And so it's time for a new culture, right? And so what does that look like in terms of Lead from the Line, in terms of what we're talking about when it comes to do with youth sports? So we've talked about confidence. We've talked about leadership. We've talked about ego. We've talked about all of these in the playbook and the guidelines, and we've briefly hit on everything at home has a huge effect on things on the field, right? And so today's episode is really, this is something that, this one might sting a little bit, okay? This one might hurt. It really did. When I read over this as I was going over my notes, I was like, man, this is good. And this is something, again, we hit on briefly, but I really wanted to drive this home. As we're finishing up this first season, so this is going to be episode 9. So we have 2 episodes left, and then we'll be in the season finale of this where we're really going to put a bow on everything. I just really want you to, first of all, if you're listening to this and you haven't caught the other episodes, please go back and do it. Again, I'm not podcasting so that I can say I'm famous. I have a famous podcast. No, I'm podcasting so that anybody who is in the same situations as I am in, or who will be in the same situations as I am in, can kind of have groundwork to help them be the best they can be. On Monday, one of my best friends, one of my brothers, called me and he was like, dude, he goes, I'm listening to your podcast. I'm on episode 3. And he goes, let me tell you, this is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. He's coaching his son and just everything. He's like, how to turn off dad mode versus how to turn on coach mode and vice versa. And I'm like, that right there is exactly why I'm doing this podcast. Not for any, I want to be famous. Whatever comes from it, comes from it. But if you're new to this podcast, please share it with a friend. That's all I ask. Share it with a friend. Wherever you're hearing this, watching this, smash those follows, repost, share, just so we can get this word out there so I can continue making these podcasts for you. And so, like I said, this is something that we're just going to really hit on this point again because this is huge. And so, your kid's team culture started in your living room long before it ever showed up in the locker room. And I'm going to say that, and I'm going to repeat that again. Your kids' team culture started in your living room long before they ever make it to a locker room. And so with that is just something I really want to drive home. Today's episode, we're just talking about team culture starts at home. And this isn't to put a blame on anybody. Again, I can look in the mirror too. There's situations where maybe I haven't handled it the right way at my home. Maybe I could have done something differently in my home. And so all this is doing is just to empower us, right? To lift us up, to let us know, hey, we make mistakes. We do things wrong. But how can we together grow in order to make sure we're the best that we can be? And so your home is your child's first locker room. So before they ever huddle up, before they ever, break it down with their teammates, before they ever hear a pregame speech, they have already been soaking in how other people talk to each other, and specifically how the people in their household talk to each other, how people handle stress, right? How people respond to mistakes. You've heard on one of the previous episodes, I talked about one of the biggest things a leader can have is the "that's on me" mentality. I messed up. That's on me. Had nothing to do with you. I dropped the ball in that. Kids are watching those. Kids see those. So how can we as coaches and parents lead the right way for these kids in those situations? And so we've talked about this too. How people talk about other people. Do my kids see me walk up to somebody, shake somebody's hand, hey man, good to see you, man, this, that, and the other, chop it up, talk whatever it is, and then walk off and be like, I can't stand that dude. That dude's trash. That dude's terrible. That dude's this. I wouldn't do this with that person. You cannot do that. Now, when your kids are watching, again, I am the guy that I believe there's always situations, right? There's always people. There's people that have wronged you. There's things that just don't work out. And I understand that. However, there's just a right and a wrong way to do everything. Everything we've talked about is the right way. How do we do something the right way? How do we lead the right way? And that's just what we're trying to hit on in all this. And so another thing is everything chaotic? We've talked about this too. Is it chaotic? Is it loud? Is everybody complaining? That's the worst thing. I tell everybody right now is here I am, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy is negativity. Negative people break me down so quickly. To hear somebody complain about everything, I call it the poor, pitiful me. Everybody's against me. Everything's going bad. I can't do this. I can't win. I can't da 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 da. That absolutely kills me. I want to look them square in the face and be like, take a deep breath. Are you able to do that? You are? Then quit complaining, because you still have an opportunity to change whatever it is. You still have an opportunity to get better. You still have an opportunity to make somebody else happy and just change the perspective of what you're complaining about. And so I don't do negative. There's situations where I get around negative people and I'm quick to just kind of slide out. Be like, where'd he go, man? He just snuck out of here. I didn't, because I ain't got time for that. I'm alive. I'm breathing. My family's happy. My family's healthy. What else I got to complain about? Oh, a little bit of stress. Work may not be going the way I want it to. Oh, my football teams are terrible. This, that, and the other. Not my teams I coach. My professional, my college team. That's a whole nother deal. But anyways, like, what am I complaining about? There ain't nothing to complain about, and then those feelings travel with your kids, right? If your kid has been hearing nothing but negativity at home, they get out to the practice field and they're beat up. They ain't got no energy. They feel like they've been through a war because all they've heard is negativity and complaining and this, that, and the other. And it's like, how do you expect that kid to go to practice and lace up their cleats or lace up their basketball shoes and perform at the best of their ability when in the back of their mind, they're like, stuff's chaotic at home. Stuff's chaotic at school. Stuff's chaotic everywhere. Then they get to practice and they've heard it at home. They've heard it at school. And oh, guess what? Their coaches are complaining too. They're complaining about the call that happened last week in last week's game. And it's like, guys, we've got to push past that. Next play mentality, it's almost like next game mentality too. You move on. Hey, stuff ain't going right. You move on. Next day mentality for work, next day mentality for school. Like, guys, things are going to happen, but we're not going to dwell on those. We're going to move on. And so your household has to be firm but safe. And what that means is your kids know what to expect from you, but they know they're safe. They know that at their household, they're safe. And that's it. Those are the kind of things that we want our kids to travel with. We want our kids to go to football practice in home, not to even pop up, not to be worried about anything that's happening at their home, just able to put their effort into that practice in that time space that they're trying to improve and get better at their craft and at the sport they're in. And then another thing that is just honest but respectful. Like if things aren't going right, you still got to be honest. Hey, you didn't do something right at home. Hey, it's okay. We're still I'm going to be honest with you. Hey, you dropped the ball on this. Honest, but we're going to be respectful to each other at my household. And I say this all the time about respect. I don't play about it, but I still feel like there should be some level of respect between me and my kids. I'm not here to just beat my kids down, but I'm also here to be honest with them, but in a respectful way. I don't care that the kids that live in my household are 9 and 11 years old. And I'm not the type's gonna be like, well, they don't go. No, those are my kids. I'm gonna respect them too. Now they gotta respect me in a different type of light, right? We understand that, but it's the end of the day, man. I still want them to grow up and I don't want to belittle them and beat them down like we've talked about. And so it's like, hey, we're gonna be respectful at my household. And that starts with me and my wife down to the kids. And I think that's important. And so you want that kid to be free and not have to worry about that. And so, like I said, culture doesn't start with a slogan on the wall. Hey, what does it say at Notre Dame? Play like a champion today. You know, I've heard get better today. I've heard tough people win. My slogan when I played high school football was blue collar. I still got the football helmet back here. We put it on the front of our deal. We talked about blue collar and being blue collar. You know, I'm from an area where there was oil field and our mascot was the Roughnecks. And that's what we talk about, blue collar. When you hear a blue collar worker, you know what they do, you know what they're made of. They get up every single day and they strap those boots and they get that stuff done. But no slogan matters as much as the tone in a household, right? And hey, I know I've talked a lot about guys and stuff, but ladies as well as this, I feel that, you know, a man may set a tone in a household, but I feel like a woman sets the atmosphere. And I don't say that with any bit of anything. Like I don't want this to come off as disrespectful to either party, but I do feel like that. You know, if a guy does this and he sets that tone, I feel like ultimately the woman sets the atmosphere. And that's what I feel like in my household is that, you know, I try to set the tone and do everything and lead the right way. But my goodness, when I walk into my house, it feels so good because my wife has set the atmosphere. So you can sit and think on that one a little bit. And if you hear this and again, it ruffles you a little bit, well, think about it. I want you to really think about that. Like I said, it's not coming from any negative place when I say that. So hear my words. It's like we're better together. That's basically what I'm getting at. And if there's a situation where mom and dad are at home, you work together as a unit to set that tone and the atmosphere for your family. And so when we move on, we're talking about what your kid hears when you're not thinking about it. And this is big too, because right, we say stuff and we may not mean anything from it, but what we say versus what our kids hear from it, they don't match up in certain situations, right? We say something unintentionally that could turn into something big and we didn't even mean it to be that way. So like you got to think about all the stuff that your kid hears when you're not in that parent mode, right? So like when you're just chopping it up, what do they hear? Do they hear you talking about the coach? Do they hear you talking about their teammates? Talking about the refs? Do they hear you complaining about the boss? Do they hear you talking about your spouse if you're hanging out with somebody else? They hear you talking bad about yourself. Like all of those things, kids are listening. So those are those opportunities where no matter what, you may not think a kid's around, but you got to be real careful of the conversations you have. So me and my wife will be talking and it doesn't matter what we're talking about. One of my kids be like, huh? And I'll be like, wait a minute, bro. I called you 10 minutes ago and asked you to help me do this and you acted like you didn't hear me. But now you got one headphone off your ear listening as we're driving down the road. Like, brother, come on. I need you to lock in on what you need to. You know, that selective hearing, they hear what they want to hear. But I swear it doesn't matter what we're saying. They're like, what? Who happened? Who did this? And I'm like, brother, we weren't talking to you like that. So kids are always listening. So we got to make sure that the conversations that we're having are appropriate conversations. And so me, as a coach of a football team, the worst thing I could do is talk about another teammate to where my son hears it. Now, is my son loyal to me? Yes. Is my son going to run and tell that teammate, man, my dad said this, that, and the other? Probably not. I would like to think that my kids wouldn't do that, but I should never do that anyway. Because on the flip side, I wouldn't want another coach talking to his, spouse or talking to somebody about my kid in a negative way. And so I got to model that way as well. I got to just, again, meet every single kid where they're at, coach them the way they need to be coached. Don't talk bad about them because it doesn't benefit anybody. If talking bad about something they did, that's a reflection of me, because I think that means that I'm not teaching them the things that they need to be taught in order to, be successful, how they need to be successful. So if anything, that's a me problem, not a them problem. See what I'm saying? And then so, that helps kids learn when they hear all this negative talk, is that, really it makes them question, hey, is it normal to complain? Mom does it. Dad does it. My teachers complain. My coach is always complaining. Man, my teammates are always complaining. Is that normal? Man, he was disrespectful to coach. Is being disrespectful normal? And he was disrespectful to the teacher. Is that okay to do? Man, my older sibling was disrespectful to mom and dad. Little brother was disrespectful to mom and dad, or whatever it may be. Is disrespect okay? Man, he was mean to the neighbor. He was disrespectful to the next door neighbor. Is that okay? Is it normal to gossip? Is it normal to talk about people behind their backs? No, that one for sure. I don't play that. If you got a problem, come see me. We can communicate about it. Simple as that. I'm a human. I mess up, but talk to me. Don't take anything that maybe you heard without speaking to me. That's the way I look at it too. So for sure, we don't gossip about anybody. Is it normal to quit? Man, I didn't like the way this happened. I'm going to quit. Man, we lost that game. I'm going to quit. Man, my mom and dad they're not doing what I need them to do. So I'm going to quit doing the things I need to do at home. Is that okay? It's never okay. Never, ever, ever. So again, if every car ride, and I love this car ride because that's my favorite thing, and that's something, and I love that I keep talking about the car ride because it's something I struggle with. And so I love that it comes up. If every car ride is, man, that coach doesn't know what he's doing. Man, these kids are trash. The refs are garbage. Your kid learns quickly blame culture. And I'm going to blame so-and-so for this. Man, we lost the game. I'm blaming this kid even though I dropped a pass. Man, I didn't get this grade that I wanted to. I'm going to blame my teacher. They didn't teach me the right way. Man, I didn't get this. Man, I'm going to blame my dad. My dad didn't prepare me good enough for that. Man, we ain't going to do that. We're not about blame culture. We're about taking accountability for who we are and developing the way we need to develop. And that's it. Simple as that. And so then as kids get older, we wonder why everybody points fingers. Everybody talks behind each other's back. People just quit when it gets hard, and then nobody takes ownership. Man, you give me some kids all day that give 100% effort. They're accountable for their mistakes. They're ready to work. They're ready to lead. They're ready to develop that confidence needed for every situation on and off a playing surface. And man, we'll turn that team into something fantastic. Trust and believe, because those are the type of people you want. Same thing as an adult. I don't need 900 friends. Give me 4-5 people that are accountable, that you can trust, and that you know what you're going to get from them each and every day. So just know that your teams, again, your kids aren't copying the teams they're a part of. They're copying us. Everything we do as adults, your kids are copying. So again, we got to lead the right way. That's why we're hitting on these. Again, we hit on all these points separately, and we're going to wrap it all up at the end, because it's just like, this is what matters in order to grow our kids and develop and run these youth programs the way we want to. And so let's do this. I always love this. Is my favorite part. I'm a storyteller. So let's go with me for a minute. Let's paint a picture. So your son's team just got blown out. Okay. He missed tackles. He looked lost out there. He's embarrassed. You get home, everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted, emotions are high. What happens next is culture. What happens next determines a lot about your household, right? So in that situation, do we bash the coach? Do we rip into the other players? Do we start to dissect the game, go back and just replay every mistake? Or do we sit at the table like a family, or, depending upon what that looks like, we're sitting there eating, having a good time, just talking, and we simply say, hey, look, tonight was tough. There's no other way to define this game other than this game was a tough one. Tomorrow we'll talk about what we can control. But for right now, for tonight, we're proud of you. We want you to know that no matter what, we love you. You're always loved. And you're still safe at this household. We're not about to bash you. We're not about to belittle you for anything that happened during that game. Remember, a game is supposed to be fun. And remember what I said too? Your son, your kid, they already know they had a bad game. So what good is it for you to beat it into them even more? Your game was terrible out there, son. It does nothing but tear that kid down even more. So simply, hey, tonight wasn't it. We'll discuss what we can control, and I think that's where you go back and you replay a film. You watch what you can. You grade your kid grades themselves, and then from there, how do we fix this? How do we improve? But again, on top of that, it's you, if you're the coach or the other coaches, it has to be in a way where we can fix these mistakes and we can develop and we can grow these mistakes. Nothing about you did this terrible or whatnot. That's not going to benefit anybody. And so that's huge going forward. It determines your culture right then and there. Let's just move on from that. And that's your home culture right there. Your home culture says you're safe here. Your home culture says you're loved here. Your home culture says you don't have to be defensive here because we love you. We're proud of you. And nothing you did on that field has an effect on anything inside this home. And that develops culture, which then develops confidence, which then makes it where your kid doesn't have an ego, which then makes it to where your kid can be a leader for his other kids, to then makes it to where mom and dad are able to shut that off after a game and be mom and dad and no longer be coach. You see how it all ties together? Remember the Legos? You're stacking. You got that green base. You're building this Legos up. That's it. That's how you develop your child. In those tough situations, in those hard moments, you don't tear them down. You use every opportunity to use your playbook of life that we've talked about in all those different areas, and you build that kid back up. Boom. And then that's what builds team culture. So everything we just talked about, you build the culture at home, which then turns right back around and builds your team culture. It's that simple. But the question is, what are we willing to do as parents? What are we willing to do as coaches? Man, your son played terrible. Are you willing to push that to the side? Are you willing to say, hey, we'll talk about it tomorrow? Or is everything burning inside of you that you got to make a comment right then and there, knowing it's going to have a negative effect? But can you pull back? Can you hold that comment to yourself? That's the challenge. I'm not perfect. I've done it too. But if we can get past that point and we can wait and we can understand that it does no good, and let's just wait and talk about it tomorrow, and then let's just build up so it doesn't happen again. Man, that's crazy right there. And so let's talk about what a strong home culture actually looks like. So respect is non-negotiable. I wrote this down as point number one. It's non-negotiable. You're going to respect me and my household. Simple as that. But we're going to do it. We're all going to do it. No name calling. We're not tearing anybody down. Anyone in this household, anybody on a team we play for, anybody we work for, none of that. Disrespect in this house is not normal. We're not normalizing disrespect. Not a chance. I will not play with it. I'm stopping. I ain't got nothing else to say about disrespect because I don't play it. I do not play it. My kids are sick of hearing me say, you can disrespect me, but don't disrespect your mama or anybody else, any other adult figure that you interact with. And I stand on that, so we're skipping on that. Number 2, ownership over blame. If you do something wrong, you own up to it. Simple as that. Man, you woke up late, you did this, you don't blame your brother. Don't blame the creator of the iPhone for not making your alarm go off. You take ownership. You messed up at school, your grades didn't do what you were supposed to. Don't blame your teacher. Blame yourself. I asked you multiple times, did you have homework? Did you have something dad could help you look at? If you don't speak up on that, that's on you. I'm not going to hold your hand. I got to get you to know that you can do things on your own. Now, I will help you, but I need you to take that initiative, right? Teach your son to say that's on me before that's on them. I take that, Dad. That's my fault. Had nothing to do with none of them. Even if it had to do with them. That's another thing we can talk about. Even if it was somebody else's fault, man, that's on me. I'm going to take the blame 100%. Attitude and effort are daily standards, not just on game day. You're going to give me your effort. You can give me everything you got, and you're going to do it with a great attitude. Again, you're alive and you're well. And I tell my kids all the time, you're 9 and 11 years old. The ones, of course, that live. I have older kids as well. The ones I speak to that are home with me now, I'm like, you're 9 and 11. You got nothing to be worried about right now. If you want to talk about stress, call your 20-year-old sister who's working full time to pay bills. Ask her if she wishes she could trade places with you. The answer is probably yes. So you ain't got nothing that should be stressing you out. So you're going to have a good attitude and you're going to have good effort in my house. You're going to do your homework. You're going to help around the house. My boys have started packing their lunches. Mama don't play no more. You pack your own lunch for school. You get your own water bottle ready for school. Ain't because we're mean. I love my kids. And my son says, Dad, can you get me some water? Absolutely. I can get you some water, but guess what? So can you. And it ain't to be mean in any way. It's to prepare this young man to be what he's going to be later on in life. And he's going to look back one day and be like, man, I get it. And then hopefully the cycle continues and he has kids and he protects and gets those kids to where they need to be. And then you get to a certain point where you say, you get your own water. You get your own milk, man. You got it. And then this one right here, gratitude. After games, even if you lose that game, hey, man, we're grateful. You came out of that game healthy. You got to play. We're grateful you were able to play the sport you love, the sport I love. I think when you are grateful, like gratitude breaks entitlement. So everything we do with a gracious heart. Be grateful for the situation you're in. And so, man, I'm having so much fun with this podcast. And again, I told in the beginning that one of my friends called me, and that right there so far has been my favorite moment of this podcast. That somebody that I call a brother called me thanking me for my podcast and for the podcast, not my podcast. This is just, I'm currently recording the podcast, but it's a podcast for the people, for anybody who can benefit. And I just want people to know that we got this in life. Life isn't easy. It's not rainbow and glitter. You've heard that before. I just want people to know that I struggle the same way they do. Same way kids struggle, the same way things happen, right? Nothing is perfect. I get everybody has an up and down day. And we tell our kids like, hey, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to let your emotions do this. But at the end of the day, we're going to do all those things the right way. There's still a right way to be upset. Hey, you're upset at somebody. It doesn't mean you got to be disrespectful. You're upset doesn't mean you got to be rude and talk about people. There's ways to do everything. I want you to know that. And so in this situation where I'm coaching your kid or you're coaching a kid or whatever it may be, or you don't coach at all and another person is coaching your kid, that coach and you, if you're coaching, you only be your son's coach for a few seasons. But right, you have your kid for a lifetime after sports ends, right? When my kids finish youth sports, it's not like, oh, you're not my son no more. You're still my son. You'll always be my son. So, when those kids step into a locker room, a huddle, a relationship, a job, they'll carry that culture with them for a lifetime. I promise you they will. So if you want like a tough, respectful, accountable, team first young man, you start by building them in the only team he'll be on forever. I'm going to say that again. if you want your kid to have a tough, respectful, accountable, team first type culture, you start with the team that he'll be on forever. You know what that team is? That's your family. And as we say always, this is Lead from the Line. Lead loud and lead proud.
The fourth quarter fades, the stadium clears, but the job of a dad lasts for all of the years. We studied the tape, yeah, we learned the design. Now take it to your home and lead from the line. No flags on the play, keep your vision alive. Fatherhood and football, that's how we survive.
That's the final buzzer for today. I appreciate you stepping into the huddle with me. If this episode gave you a new play to run at home or on the field, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It keeps the lights on. Remember, the game doesn't stop when you leave the field. Go be a champion for your family. I'm Coach Mac. Lead loud and lead proud.
Take it to your home and lead from the line. No flags on the play, keep your vision alive. Fatherhood and football, that's how we survive. That's how we survive. That's how we survive.